Let me tell you something that most men don't realize until it's too late. Women notice when your interest starts to fade and it completely flips the script. You think you're the one pulling back, but from her side, it feels like the ground beneath her just shifted. And the truth is, the way a woman reacts when she realizes you've lost interest says more about her feelings for you than anything she's ever told you out loud. Here's the part that might surprise you. Women don't just react one way. Some panic, some pretend they don't care. Others suddenly start chasing, even if they weren't giving you much before. Why? Because a man losing interest taps into a woman's deepest psychology. Her ego, her pride, and yes, even her emotions for you. It forces her to confront something she usually tries to control: the fear of no longer being desired. Now, here's where most men get it wrong. You think when she reacts, it means you're suddenly in control. You think it's about playing games or being hard to get. But that's not what this is about. When a woman senses your interest slipping, she goes into self-preservation mode. She starts asking herself, why is he pulling away? What does this mean about me? Do I need to fix this? Or should I move on before I get hurt? And depending on her personality, her level of interest, and yes, even her emotional maturity, her reaction will look completely different. That's why you need to understand what's really happening inside her mind. Because once you know how women actually think in these moments, you stop guessing. You stop chasing clarity from her. And instead, you start seeing the truth for what it is. So, in this video, I'm going to walk you through exactly how women react when they realize you've lost interest. And I'll break it down in a way no one really explains directly, honestly, and from a female perspective. Her ego takes the first hit one. Her ego takes the first hit. The very first thing you need to understand is this. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, her ego feels it before her heart does. That might sound harsh, but it's the truth. Women are wired to want validation. Not because we're weak, but because attention from a man we're involved with confirms our value in the dynamic. When that attention shifts, the ego takes a direct hit. It's not always about deep love or connection in that moment. It's about her pride. Women are used to being the ones pursued, desired, and prioritized. And when a man suddenly stops showing interest, it feels like rejection on a level we don't want to admit. Even the most confident woman can feel that sting. Here's how it usually plays out. She notices you don't text as much, or your replies get shorter, or you don't initiate plans the way you used to. At first, she tells herself, he's just busy. She tries to brush it off, but the longer it goes on, the more she starts to wonder, why isn't he giving me the same energy anymore? What changed? That question doesn't just hit her emotionally, it bruises her ego. And this is where women react in different ways. Some will try to overcompensate, suddenly giving you more attention, flirting harder, or acting sweeter than usual. It's not always genuine desire. Sometimes it's a way of regaining that sense of control. Other women will swing the opposite way. They'll act colder, distant, or even a little dismissive. That's a defense mechanism, a way to protect themselves from feeling rejected. What's important for you as a man is to recognize that this first reaction isn't always about how much she truly values you. It's about how much she values being valued. The ego gets triggered before the heart has time to catch up. This is why so many men get confused. You think her sudden chase means she's in love with you, or you assume her coldness means she never cared. 2. The panic behind the calm. The panic behind the calm. On the surface, most women will try to act calm when they realize you've lost interest. She might act like nothing's wrong. She might even laugh and pretend she doesn't notice. But inside, there's panic. And the reason is simple. Women are extremely tuned into shifts in energy. We notice little things. The tone of your texts, how quickly you respond, the way your body language changes. Even if you don't say anything, we feel it. And when we sense you pulling back, the calm face is usually just a mask. That panic comes from uncertainty. A woman wants to feel secure in your attention, even if she's not fully invested in you yet. When you pull away, it throws her balance off. She starts questioning, did I do something wrong? Is he losing interest because of me, or is he just distracted? Is there someone else? These thoughts don't always come out of love. Often they come out of fear. Fear of losing control in the dynamic. Fear of being discarded. Fear of being less than in your eyes. Now, here's what men often misunderstand. When a woman is panicking internally, she rarely shows it directly. Instead, it comes out in indirect behaviours. She might get a little more sarcastic with you. She might start testing you with small comments to see if you react. She might act like she doesn't care at all, which is usually the opposite of how she really feels. All of these are ways to soothe her ego and mask that inner panic. But make no mistake, even the most confident woman feels it. When you lose interest, it signals to her that the dynamic has shifted, and now she's not in the position she thought she was in. And for a lot of women, that's uncomfortable. It shakes the sense of security she had in the interaction. For you, as a man, this is where you need clarity. Don't assume her calm face means she's unaffected, and don't assume her sarcasm or distance means she's truly over you. In reality, many women use those masks to cover the fact that inside they're unsettled and unsure of where they stand. The panic behind the calm is real. It's not always about love. It's not always about losing you specifically. Sometimes it's just about losing the comfort of your attention. And that's a hard pill for men to swallow. But it's the truth. So when she acts calm, understand that it might not be calmness at all. It might be quiet chaos. And if you know how to read that, you'll stop taking her surface reactions at face value and start seeing what's actually happening underneath. 3. Why she suddenly starts testing you. Why she suddenly starts testing you. When a woman realizes you've lost interest, one of the most common reactions you'll see is testing. And let me be clear, these tests aren't random. They're her way of trying to figure out exactly where she stands with you, now that your energy has shifted. Here's the truth. Women test when they feel insecure or uncertain. It's not always intentional, but it's how we measure whether a man is still invested. If you've pulled back, we want to know, is this real distance, or is he just distracted? Is he losing interest in me, or is he trying to see how I'll react? And the easiest way for us to get that answer is to push a little and see how you respond. The tests can show up in different forms. Sometimes she'll act more distant herself just to see if you'll chase. Sometimes she'll throw in a jealous comment, like mentioning another guy or forgetting to prioritize you to check if it triggers a reaction. Other times, she'll suddenly become extra sweet and affectionate just to see if you lean back in or stay withdrawn. None of this is about the surface behavior. It's about her needing clarity. Women don't like to sit in uncertainty. We want to know where things stand, even if the truth stings. If you're losing interest, we feel it, but we don't always want to confront it directly. So instead, we test. Now, here's where most men mess up. You take the tests too personally. You get annoyed, defensive, or start arguing. What you need to realize is that a test isn't always about drama. It's a signal. It means she's unsure. It means she feels the distance and doesn't know how to interpret it. If you're calm and consistent when she tests you, it tells her something very powerful. You're not shaken, you're not easily manipulated, and you're not going to bend just because she wants reassurance. That doesn't mean you play games back. It means you hold steady. But if you overreact, chase harder, or suddenly pour out reassurance, you've just confirmed her fear. You've told her, yes, I was pulling back and now I'm rushing to fix it because your test worked. And that gives her the control back, which is exactly what she was reaching for. So, the bottom line is this. When she suddenly starts testing you, don't see it as childish or manipulative. See it for what it really is. A woman trying to find her footing after she feels you've pulled away. How you respond in that moment says everything about whether the dynamic shifts back in your favour or if you hand her the upper hand without even realising it. 4. The silent shift in power. The silent shift in power. Here's something most men overlook. When a woman realises you've lost interest, the power in the dynamic silently shifts. Up until that moment, she was the one with the advantage. She had your attention, your energy, your pursuit. But the second she senses that pullback, everything changes. Why? Because women know that a man's interest is the currency that keeps the connection alive. When you stop spending it, she can no longer assume control. That shift might not be obvious in the way she talks to you or the way she acts in public, but internally she feels it. And for many women, it's unsettling. Think about it. As long as she knows you want her, she can relax. She knows she's desired, and that security allows her to call the shots. But when your interest fades, she doesn't feel secure anymore. Suddenly, she's on the other side of the equation. She's the one wondering, does he still want me? Do I still have him? That switch forces her into a position she doesn't always like, the one where she has to prove her value again. And here's the part you need to really hear. Once that power shifts, her behaviour changes. Even if she doesn't show it outwardly, she starts to rethink everything. She might begin to evaluate her own effort. Am I giving enough? She might second-guess her choices. Did I push him away? Or she might even feel resentment. Why isn't he chasing me like before? Now, whether this shift works in your favour depends entirely on how you handle it. If you notice her reacting and you rush to fill the gap by chasing harder, you give that power right back. But if you stay calm, grounded, and consistent, you hold your position and she feels that difference. This isn't about being cold or manipulative. It's about balance. The power in relationships naturally shifts back and forth, but most men never realise when it's happening. They get stuck, always being the one chasing, the one proving, the one giving. When a woman realises you've lost interest, you finally get to see what happens when the dynamic flips. And here's the honest truth. Women respect men who don't panic during that shift. If you can stay centered, it forces her to confront her own feelings and decide if she truly values you enough to meet your energy. That's where the clarity comes in. So remember this. The moment she feels your disinterest, the silent shift in power is real. What you do next determines whether she steps up or checks out. But one thing is certain. She no longer has the easy control she once did, and deep down, she knows it. 5. When curiosity turns into obsession. Once a woman realizes you've lost interest, something happens inside her that can be hard for men to believe. Her curiosity starts to grow. At first, it's small. She just wonders why your energy feels different. But if you stay consistent in that disinterest, that curiosity can grow into a kind of obsession. This isn't about love in the beginning. It's about uncertainty. Women hate not knowing where they stand. When a man pulls away, it creates a gap, and that gap makes her restless. She starts checking for clues, trying to figure out why things changed. Maybe she goes back through old messages to see when your tone shifted. Maybe she pays closer attention to how you behave when you're around other women. Or maybe she just sits there asking herself, what's going on with him? Why doesn't he want me like before? I'll tell you how this looks in real life. Picture this. She's used to you being the one who sends the good morning text, but now 2 days pass and nothing comes from you. She tells herself she doesn't care. She's not going to be the one to break first. But then, at night, she finds herself staring at her phone, checking if you're online, refreshing your profile just to see if you've posted something. That's the obsession starting to creep in. What men often miss is that disinterest creates a mystery, and mystery is powerful with women. If you're always available, always chasing, always reassuring, there's nothing for her to figure out. But when you pull back, she's left with questions, and those questions keep her attention locked on you. Of course, not every woman will let that curiosity become obsession. Some will shrug and move on quickly, especially if they weren't deeply invested. But the ones, the point where she lets go, who felt something, even if they didn't show it, will struggle to ignore the shift. They'll think about you when they shouldn't. They'll start testing little ways to get your attention again, even if it's subtle. And here's the irony. The more she tries to act like she doesn't care, the more energy she actually spends on you. That obsession doesn't always look like chasing. Sometimes it looks like silence, distance, or coldness. But behind that front, she's thinking about you far more than she wants to admit. So when your disinterest lingers, remember this. You're not always being ignored. You might actually be the center of her attention in a way you never were when you were chasing. Because women think about what they can't easily have. And once you stop giving her certainty, you become the unanswered question she can't stop revisiting. 6. The point where she lets go. There's a stage you need to understand clearly. The point where a woman stops reacting to your lost interest and simply lets go. Every woman reaches this differently, but once she gets there, it's final in her mind. At first, like I said earlier, her ego gets bruised, then she feels the panic, she tests, she obsesses. But if nothing changes, if your disinterest stays steady, eventually she stops fighting it. She makes peace with the fact that your energy is gone. And that's the moment where she emotionally detaches. This is important because many men misread it. You'll see her stop texting, stop asking questions, stop trying to get your attention, and you'll think she's just giving you space or waiting for you to come around. But in reality, she's probably already closing that chapter in her mind. Here's how women work. Once we've accepted that someone isn't giving us energy anymore, we start shifting ours somewhere else. Sometimes it's onto ourselves, focusing on work, friends, or personal goals. Other times it's onto another man who is showing interest. Either way, the attention you once had is no longer yours. Now, here's where it gets tricky for men. Some of you mistake her silence for victory. You think she's not complaining anymore, so she must be fine with the distance. But silence isn't always a good sign. Silence often means she's already detached. And once she detaches, it's almost impossible to pull her back in with the same level of interest she had before. Women can forgive. They can flirt again. They can even give you another chance. But once she's crossed that threshold of truly letting go, it's never the same. She'll always hold back a little because deep down she remembers how it felt when you pulled away. And that memory makes her cautious. For you, the key is to recognize this stage before it happens. If you've genuinely lost interest and you're okay with her moving on, then fine, let her go. But if you still want her, you need to understand that prolonged disinterest doesn't just create attraction, it eventually kills it. The challenge is finding balance. Showing too much interest makes you look needy. Showing none at all eventually pushes her to detach. The sweet spot is controlled presence, giving her attention because you want to, not because you need to. That way, she feels valued without you sacrificing your self-respect. So, here's the truth. Women react strongly when they first sense your disinterest. But if you stay in that state for too long, the reaction fades. She doesn't fight anymore. She doesn't chase anymore. She just lets go. And when that happens, you're no longer a priority. You're a memory. 7. The lesson. Most men ignore lesson. Most men ignore. Here's the truth. Most men never want to hear. If a woman realizes you've lost interest and she reacts strongly, it's not just about her feelings. It's a reflection of your energy and your choices. Too many men think they can pull away without consequences, or that playing it cool is a strategy that will automatically make her chase. But the reality, your behavior teaches her exactly how much you value yourself, and she reacts accordingly. Women notice confidence, but we notice insecurity even faster. When a man loses interest and stays distant without clarity, it's not mysterious. It's telling. It's saying, I'm either done or I don't care enough to show you otherwise. And women, whether they like it or not, respond in kind. That's why some women panic, some test, some obsess, and others walk away quietly. Every reaction is based on the energy you're putting out. Here's the wake-up call. If you're the kind of man who thinks disinterest automatically gives you power, you're missing the bigger picture. Disinterest can create attraction temporarily, but if it's not paired with self-awareness, respect, and clear boundaries, it can destroy your chances with a woman who really matters. You might see her chase for a while. That's ego at work. But eventually, the reality sinks in. If she senses you don't genuinely care, her respect for you drops. Her interest fades and she will detach permanently. You need to reflect on your actions honestly. Ask yourself, are you losing interest because you're bored? Are you pulling away because she challenged you or because you never really invested emotionally? The answers to these questions matter more than any trick or strategy. Women respond to real energy, authentic desire, curiosity, and engagement, not just absence. The lesson most men ignore is this. The way a woman reacts to your lost interest isn't about manipulation or game playing. It's about alignment. She's responding to whether you're the man you say you are. She's seeing if your words, actions, and energy match. And if they don't, she adapts. Sometimes subtly, sometimes dramatically. So, if you want to grow as a man, stop trying to control her reaction and start controlling yourself. Pay attention to the signals, yes, but more importantly, pay attention to what your own energy is communicating. Learn how to stay grounded, how to create genuine intrigue without being cruel, and how to respect both your desire and hers. That's the real power, not disappearing and hoping she chases blindly. In the end, a woman's reaction to your disinterest is a mirror. She reflects back the truth about you, your confidence, your consistency, and your self-respect. Take it seriously, learn from it, and grow into the kind of man who inspires respect and desire without ever needing to manipulate or play games. Conclusion. Let me be brutally honest with you. If a woman notices you've lost interest and she reacts, what you're really seeing is the truth about yourself. Her behavior isn't random. It's a reflection of your energy, your boundaries, and your confidence. And here's the part most men refuse to accept. If you're losing her respect or attention, it's not just her fault. It's yours too. Women are intuitive. We feel when a man is present, when he's invested, and when he's simply going through the motions. When you pull away, it forces her to confront something most men never realize: the reality of your emotional availability, and the way she reacts will tell you everything you need to know about the dynamic if you're paying attention. So, here's the bold truth. You can't fake this. You can't rely on tricks, games, or absence alone to make her chase. Real attraction comes from your energy, your consistency, and the way you carry yourself. If you ignore that, you'll keep spinning in circles, wondering why women act one way and then disappear the next. I want you to reflect on this. Think about the last time a woman noticed your disinterest. How did she respond? What did that teach you about yourself? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll be reading them, engaging with you, and giving honest feedback. Because this isn't about manipulation. It's about learning how women think, how attraction works, and how you can grow into a man who inspires respect and desire naturally. Remember, the moment you understand the way women respond to your energy, you stop guessing. You stop chasing illusions. You see the truth, and that truth gives you power.